Welcome back to a little bit of a bonus here on Popcorn and Possibilities and 50 Minutes of Fear.
I'm
We
still
have
here.
we have Judy and
I'm
Steph here.
haunting you. You can't get rid of me.
We do want to get this movie review in because we did all rewatch it or watch it for the first time as myself. The Thing, the 1982 vehicle. So I'm just gonna run down the quick ratings, which are pretty stellar, I would say. Rotten Tomatoes, we got 85%. Popcorn, 92%.
There you go.
Metacritic, 57. That was a little bit of a
Freaking Metacritic,
weird
man.
drop off. Users, 8.8, and IMDb is 8.2 out of 10. So for 82 and still holding up as well as it is, I think that's speaks volumes. But
And we'll dive into it, but
yeah.
it absolutely still holds up. This is a classic that continues to be a classic. And I think for me personally, always will be. It is truly what you want to see in a horror film from so many different vantage points. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I this is my first time watching it. I did really love it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think the whole mystery aspect of it was really what kind of got me in, because I am always skeptical about the older ones. And I the whole time I'm like, who could be infected, who's not, like what's happening? But
So this is one of my favorite movies, and I'm a little bit older than you guys. And I will say, when this movie came out, it did not do well, and it was
mm,
interesting because
Really?
yeah, it was considered not. It was a failure, and when it came out, and then over time, well, a failure to say that I think the movie cost about 15 million, and I think it only grossed about 19, but at about the same time, we had this beautiful thing called a VHS player, and all of a sudden,
mm.
everyone who had no idea what to do with their tweens were renting movies. And this is where I first saw it. I first saw this movie on a VHS in my friend Lynn Salerno's back room,
Mm,
and it was spectacular. And that's where it all sort of evolved from. But the movie is definitely holds up, and it's an important movie for a lot of reasons.
mm.
There's a lot going on in this movie, and as a casual viewer, I think you can just enjoy it.
Yeah.
But as a critical viewer, I think you can appreciate it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I like
absolutely.
that. I'm gonna go into what I have as my
Yeah.
fun facts.
Fun facts.
Which this one is the most interesting to me. Was the director John Carpenter deliberately used only male actors to heighten paranoia, isolation, with only the female voice being the chess computer. Which I was very annoyed. Like, why did he break that? Like, if I was stuck in Antarctica, and that was the only thing you could do. But anyway, the voice of the chess computer was Carpenter's wife as well. Um,
Adrienne Barbeau.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Unused ending. There was an alternate ending that was filmed where McCready is tested and found human, but they didn't use it, which I'm glad they did, because I really liked that ending. Spoiler, but if you haven't seen it by this point, then I guess you're me.
It has been
But
out for 40 years.
right.
Take some time. It's only an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh God.
Nick Nolte, Jeff Bridges both turned down the role of McCready. And this was Keith David's first role, which he was so young. Like, he was like
Wow.
unrecognizable.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yes.
The Norwegian dialogue in the beginning was get the hell out of here. That's not a dog. It's some sort of thing. Get away, you idiots. So if you understood Norwegian, I guess you would have known the whole movie. But
You know what's so funny that you say, so I'm one of those like I can't hear without my subtitles people. So
yeah,
I always have subtitles on when I watch, and I always found it so interesting that they didn't translate or subtitle what
yeah,
was in Norwegian in the beginning. And that's probably why, because if they subtitled that, it's like, oh, well, why am I watching the rest of this? Like,
right.
the dog is going to be the key that tells you that something is very wrong for these people and what they stumbled upon. That is a very interesting fact. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. Judy, did you have some interesting? Yeah.
So the thing, I just a little bit of background on this concept of The Thing. There is a 1950, I think it's 1956 movie that came out called The Thing, right? And it was a success. That was a successful movie. People liked it. It was, but it's very different than the remake, and I love that. I love that. The script changed hands a lot, and I think that the right people, again, I know it was not initially well received, but it is a great movie and it's now considered a very important movie. But I think the right people finally landed with the right script. I did want to give you this because I find it interesting that a lot of horror films, and I feel like this goes to our brilliant script writers, right? A lot of horror films are based on prior writings. So this was actually based on John W. Campbell's novella called Who Goes There? Which I'm going to read, by the way, if I can.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
I'm
Yeah.
going to read it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I love that. I love how creative Hollywood can be, and I love how creative writers can be. So I thought that was fascinating. And then to bring this forward, I'd highly recommend comparing them. It's cute. It's cute to watch the older movie from the 50s, but this movie is a little bit more aggressive. And I think the thing that I would like our listeners to really pay attention to is please do pay attention to the sets.
Yeah.
The actors went through a lot. They were out in the cold. There was a sound stage, but they were out in the cold and they were in some tough conditions. Do pay attention to the cast, because what I think you will find is at this point in time, now we will have a cheap horror film made with maybe not named actors who are maybe paid scale, and they make it, and it's very inexpensive to make horror films, especially with the evolution of all of the computer stuff you can do now, right?
Yeah.
Well, in the 80s, you still had these amazing casts. You had these wonderful casts with these wonderful actors. You have wonderful actors here. You have like Wilford Brimley is in this movie.
Yeah.
Right,
I didn't realize that was
Richard
him. Yeah.
Mazur's in this movie. So you have it's my perfect combination of real actors in a scary script. Give me that any day of the week. And I
Yeah.
love that for this film. And then great filmmaking. But that is the big takeaway with this. Definitely please do pay attention to the effects in this movie.
Yes.
A lot of these effects won awards or were up for awards. And
Still
I'll give
hold
my
up.
fun
Especially, yeah.
I'll give my fun fact of with a $15 million budget, 1.5 million was spent on the effects.
Wow.
That's
So
brilliant.
cool.
Yeah.
That's a filmmaker who trusts his staff and trusts his artistic directors, and it's brilliant.
Yep.
So that's my fun fact on this movie. Now let's see what happens because it's great.
It's so
fun.
funny because I feel like we live in a day and age where people rely so heavily on CG, and now like AI is becoming a thing in films. And I wish this movie could be a test case or a use case for every filmmaker out there to say, like, this is why practical effects are the better route. Because do you know how many movies I watched from the 80s or the 90s when, like, people started to incorporate CG? And it, like, when we watched Mission Impossible, Brian, remember? We were
Yeah.
like, oh my God, what is this?
Yeah.
Whereas you watch this movie from the early 80s and everything still looks great today. So the effects are one of the biggest draws to this movie for me in terms of reasons why it still holds up so many years after the fact.
Yeah, and so the makeup and effects team worked really, really hard, and they incorporate. And I love this. Have you seen Alien, the
Yeah.
original?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So brilliant, right?
Yeah.
The reason I love I'm going to call them practical effects because I'm not in the industry and I don't know the language, but when you take an alien and your alien is just like, I don't know, a couple of oysters and some rope that I got in a garage and some tubing, that is this. It's the same thing as like the people who make the sounds for movies. Like,
Right.
oh yeah, for Star Wars, my lightsaber is going to be me hitting a big wire, right?
Right.
Right.
So very, 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 very unique filmmaking here with the practical effects. And I think that is going into the artistry. I don't know, because I'm not artistic, but the artistry of the sculptors and the painters and the makeup artists, right?
Yeah,
the makeup
definitely.
artists, because this is just to set the scene a little bit, if it's okay with you guys. This
Absolutely.
is held in the Antarctic, right? So
Yeah.
we're very, very cold and we're very, very oppressed. by the entire environment. It's a gray environment. It's a dark environment. And anything outside, you will see like crystallization in the beards. You will see these. So you have this beautiful makeup effect along with the practical effects. They're great.
Yeah.
They're just great.
Everything from chest bursting with the defibrillator paddles, that gets me every time. And even just the scene with the dogs, like,
Yeah.
it's so horrifying, but like beautiful in a way, because that is a practical effect. That is all done by artistry and actual practical effects. And they're terrifying and they're gruesome and they're haunting. Like, I have nightmares about the scene with the dogs. I hate it and I love it at the same time. But it really makes it more impactful because you feel like you are physically feeling these things happen and seeing these things happen. And I think in the realm of horror, that is so critically important because you want people to feel this terror that your characters are experiencing. And if your effects aren't great or they're not believable, you're not going to get that same impact that you're looking to get. At least in my opinion, you're not.
Well, it's visceral, right? They actually they're I mean, I'm not an artist like I said, but I think they actually did a puppet. I think they did a puppet for the dog. And okay, let's bring puppetry back. I mean, it was just sort of like I love effects. Don't get me wrong. I love effects. I think they're great. Give me an effect any day. That's fine. But when you see the compression scene, right? It's a horrible. I mean, when I saw this as a child, right? I saw this movie when it came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
And when he put his hand to save this man, and all of a sudden, it was just like teeth and it was a horrifying scene. And I was just like, what the actual heck is going on here? And it was just, that actor is standing in that puppet body and there's things shooting out and it's stuff and it's great. And this movie does not disappoint with the effects and they hold up. They're great. They're 100% great. Yeah.
Yeah, and it does a good job of just like making the audience feel that isolation and feeling that panic that like we're not going to get out of here because that like Walter Brenly's character just like destroys all the communications, so it's like you're not getting out now. And I don't even know how like I would feel in that situation, knowing like you're going to die and then there's this thing that's just taking over your body. Like that's what I loved about it, and just the mystery of like you can't trust anybody in that situation. You don't know who has it. Even Kurt Russell, it's like, hey, he still could be somebody who's infected. You don't know. So
they turned on him real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick.
As soon as he went out, yeah.
So should we talk about heroes for a minute? Because I think there's the realization of something happened.
Yeah.
We have this odd thing happen. We're going to go investigate. We're going to help out. We see there's a problem. And then all of a sudden, someone did figure out that the way the alien, I'm going to call it the alien because it's an alien. The way the alien was processing, he could actually take over the world in 6 months, a year, something like that. It was a horrifying timetable. And we have this group of people in the Arctic who could stop it by isolating. And there's that one, I think what happened is that one of the characters, is it Blair? One of the characters disables communication.
Yeah,
disables
Blair,
transportation, and then has to live with that.
Yeah.
And I think that psychological question of you have 20 people on a bus, but if you pull this lever and only one person's going to die, do you pull the lever, right?
Yeah.
That is the visceral philosophical conversation. And for them to bring that into a sci-fi movie is so devastating because that was the decision this one character made. He said, no, I'm going to sacrifice all of us to save the world, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's devastating. And I don't even think it's appreciated because the movie's so scary that I don't even know if the audience appreciates that as we go through it. It's something you think about, like, wait a second. That he's the hero of the movie. I mean, give me, Kurt Russell any day of the week, but he is the hero of the movie to say, I am not letting this go. I'm not letting it go further. And he was thrown in, what, a tool shed? And I don't know what happened to that guy. My goodness, give him a drink, give him a blanket. Be pissed.
Yeah.
Right? So there's that big theme of what will you do as a human, and what are you willing to personally sacrifice?
Yeah.
And now we have the paranoia, and now we have the distrust, and now we don't know what's happening. And then the artistry of the movie is, I don't know what's going on. I'm uncomfortable. I don't know what's going on. There was that scene, which I still don't understand, and I would like your perspective on it, where we have the dog, and it's a hard sell with me with the dogs, because I don't like the dogs getting hurt. But
me too.
We have a dog. Was it in the kennel? Was it not in the kennel? What did we do with the dog? You were alone with the dog. Did the dog infect you? Is the dog the creature? I don't know. What happened? I don't speak Norwegian. What was your take on Richard Mazur's part? Because he is... We're doing spoilers here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he is effectively murdered. In the film. He's shot and he's murdered.
Yeah.
And it's horrifying.
I feel like I wouldn't have shot him like to instant kill. I maybe like would have hit his leg, take him down a peg, but like why would somebody just randomly shoot? Like, you already, after the fact, I mean, he's dead at that point, but they go to the facility and see, like, okay, how did they go crazy? They weren't even here this long. Like, I feel like that would have been worth, like, at least trying to talk to the guy in any way possible. I understand he speaks another language, but maybe there's, like, drawings or some other ways of communication, but...
Right.
Yeah.
I found that devastating.
I did too. You almost have to see it from every side, because you've got these people in these harsh, terrible conditions, like probably realizing this is reality now. We're stuck here and something suspect is going on. Like, I have feelings about things. And sometimes you're in fight or flight kicks in, right? And you make a snap decision without applying logic or thought or compassion or any of those things. But I found it devastating as well, because like there wasn't even maybe if we interact with this person, we can figure out what the heck is going on. It was like, shoot first, ask questions, I guess never, because now we've got nobody to talk to. But I do try to keep the lens as well that like these are a bunch of men who are stuck in one spot, and now they've got like all this weirdness going on. So clear and rational thought probably was not prevailing at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I also found it interesting that they went to the Norwegian way station, because I would not have done that.
No, I don't.
And bringing the body back.
Yeah.
Again, we're heroes. These are heroic men that don't look like heroes. And I think that's why it was such an interesting movie for me, because none of them were painted as heroes, but they were all heroes. Because these people went off site, they went to check on the Norwegians. They found something weird, they bought it back. They looked into it. They went to see, what is this exactly? And when, I think the character was Blair, I'm just looking at my notes. When Blair realized, no, this is a problem. I need to stop the bleeding here.
Yeah.
It's, again, and that's not at all highlighted in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The movie is not about that at all. It's about the paranoia, and it's a very small, it's almost like a parlor movie, right? Like a Hitchcock.
Yes.
Hitchcockian, like a parlor whodunit. Like, who's infected? What's your problem?
Right.
You know, and how did we feel about Kurt Russell stepping up when there was no confidence in the commander? The commander shows up, shoots a guy in the head, and he's like, I don't know. Bad day, I guess. Like, I'm like, I could command this way station better.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Make a phone call, you know?
He stepped
I think
up.
it was effective. And like they needed a leader. They needed somebody, and clearly, at least at the beginning of the movie, before the paranoia, before nobody trusted anybody, he clearly was the person that everybody turned to for things. So I think based on the glimpses of these characters you got before the real plot and story kicks in, it was a natural progression because you see that everything is like, well, McCready, what do you think? And like, if you don't want to fly, we won't fly it. And he's like, no, we're going to fly. And they implicitly trust and say, okay, he said we're doing it. So I think him stepping up as the leader felt natural. And I think it was a good way to move the story forward. But what I loved is that ultimately they play with that concept of, you don't really know, like, is it paranoia because of the thing? Is it paranoia because they've been by themselves and it's freezing and they probably don't have much food left? Like, you're literally, Brian, to your point, it's like it's all over the place trying to figure out what the hell is going on? What am I supposed to believe here? Who's suspect? Who can I trust? And I feel like you're really living that with the characters because they build that anxiety and that tension and that distrust in such a gradual and meaningful and real way.
Yeah, and it's interesting too when you talk about that because you're talking about, first of all, we're in Antarctica, right? So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
already, we're starting out isolated. Already there's not a female presence. We're now having a situation and an issue, and it's not an inspected issue. It's not an issue that we're expecting. This is weird. Something weird's going on. So
Yeah.
now you have this dog coming in. Okay, fine. That's weird. Why are you shooting at a dog? And then all of a sudden your transportation is compromised. Your belief systems a little bit are compromised. I guess I might be stretching on that. But I believe over time they're taking more and more and more away from this group of people. They take away the trust. They take away the understanding. They take away the comforts, physical and mentally.
Right.
At some point, the electricity goes out, or there's
the
so
power.
now you're in physical peril
Yeah.
because you cannot sustain yourself in that environment with no transportation and no power.
Right.
Yeah, no, they said it was like negative 40 degrees, I think,
Yeah.
with the storm. Yeah.
Yeah. You now have, I don't trust you. I'm putting you in a shed. I
Yeah.
don't trust you. I'm going to tie you up and test your blood. That's weird.
Right.
If my boss came into me tomorrow and said, hey, here's a thing. You could be an alien, so I'm going to tie you up and test your blood. Well, I hope I'm an alien because I'm going to eat your head because this is outrageous behavior
Yeah.
when you think about this, right?
Yeah.
This is how extreme this is. And by the way, you can't get away.
Yeah.
You can't get away.
Yeah.
And that, again, so let me ask you guys, because I love to ask this with horror films. Were you guys uncomfortable watching the film? Were you cold watching the film? Like, what was the feelings?
I was definitely uncomfortable and unsettled throughout.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm feeling the anxiety with them. And like when McCready is out doing his like search and everyone's going to meet back in 20 minutes and then they find his patch and they're like, might be him. Now I was like, oh God, that was my guy. Now I don't trust my guy
Yeah.
anymore.
I know, it was
felt
horrible.
that with them. Yeah. And I mean, I'm always cold. This is like an unfair answer for me to give. But I did find myself like clutching my blanket a little bit tighter. And it's like you really feel rough when you watch it. You don't feel warm and fuzzy. You don't feel anything good. It is anxiety. It is just discomfort throughout the entire runtime. For me, personally. Brian, I don't know how you felt.
So, I mean, I was very similar. I was uncomfortable. There was no hint to really tell you, like, who might have been infected or not. And, like, Kurt Russell, like you said, I did trust him. And then when they got that, I was like, oh, fuck, wait, is he dead too? Like,
Right.
what's happening? So the fact that you couldn't trust any character and you didn't really get a glimpse of like, oh, I know this guy is like definitely like infected, and that uneasy feeling, that was like what I got through the whole film. And I think that's why I like loved it. So I guess I love being uneasy.
Yeah. No, how did you feel about Carpenter sort of setting the stage of that? Like, what did you think of the cast?
He picked a good mix of people who played the bad guy really well, people who seemed a little bit suspect, and you got the complete wrong impression of them. And then you've got like Childs and McCready, who are just your
angry.
dominant characters, and they're
Dynamic.
always at odds with each other. like you said, for a male dominated cast in these tight quarters, and this is kind of who you're with for the entire duration of the movie, I think Carpenter's casting was brilliant because he literally paired strong actors with strong actors and people who were able to play some unsuspecting person that actually was like the most deplorable of all of them. I thought it was a great cast, and Brian has heard me say this before. I tend to love horror movies with people I don't know
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
because like
character actors. The
yeah,
character
because
actors. Yeah.
if I'm watching like Brad Pitt in a horror movie, sometimes it breaks my immersion a little bit because I'm like, that's Brad freaking Pitt. Like, I know this is a movie. Whereas, like you mentioned, Talk to Me, I didn't really know anybody. I maybe knew one actress from Talk to Me because Brian reminded me recently she was in Lord of the Rings.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's brilliant. Yeah.
Mhm.
But
She's good.
but everybody else, it's like I really felt like, holy crap, could you imagine? Because I didn't know who I was looking at. But even though I saw this movie later in life, I knew who Kurt Russell was, all of these things, I still think they were a very effective casting choices.
Yeah. I did too. I don't know. I thought that a lot of the paranoia I think came from me where
Mhm.
I was like, who is going to be the baddie? Who's going to be
Yeah.
the baddie? And I still don't know. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
still don't know. And that is, I know, Steph, you said that this is a brilliant movie and you liked this movie. What was your take on the choice at the end? Because it was a bold choice.
I love it. And Brian, you said you loved it too.
Yeah, I
And it's
loved
funny,
it.
I was going
The
to circle back to
uncertainty.
the ending. I prefer, especially in horror, when you leave something to the viewer's imagination. You don't have to show me the big monster at the end. You let me come to my own conclusion because sometimes what I'm going to cook up is way scarier than what
Mhm.
you could have showed me. So if they had ended it, Brian, like the alternate ending you mentioned, showing like, oh, McCready's human, I kind of had a feeling he was. But at the end, when him and Childs are sitting and you realize like this is the end for the two of them probably
It
one
is.
way or the other,
It
and
is.
you have no idea, are they both human, are they both alien, or is one alien and one's human, and just leaving the viewer guessing and walking away thinking about that, like I still don't know who the heck I can trust at the end of this whole thing, I think was way more effective than if you had ended it with like, yeah, he was fine the whole time, you were right.
Yeah, because I think that would have changed the whole movie. Because
Yeah,
if it would have ended that way, you would have had that feeling like, oh, okay, I was right. Like he was the safe choice.
he was just a regular guy, like
You would have
Yeah.
he's fine.
identified the hero, right? And
Yeah.
going back to that idea of who are we rooting for
Right.
Yeah.
in this movie? Because I was rooting for the dog, and the dog disappointed me from the get-go. I was like, that dog was an alien.
Right.
Stop that. And I think in this one again, I look at this movie like a hero movie. I look at
Mm.
it as this was a team of people who could prevent a real problem to the entire earth by keeping that alien where it needed to stay.
Right.
Because I think the assumption is the alien retreats back to, it'll ultimately retreat back to its spaceship and
Mhm.
lie low until it can have another group of people to invade and overcome
Right.
and hopefully, I don't know what the alien's problem was. I don't know where it wants to go. I don't know what it wants to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
At one point, I think one of the other characters was like building a spaceship or something. Like I
Yeah.
didn't really understand that element of it, but I'm like, what is, I would like to see what the alien's problem was. Maybe someone should do another thing movie and tell me all about the alien because maybe the
Right.
alien is the
Maybe it's
sympathetic
District
character.
9, like he's just trying to go home.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like an
Yeah.
elf situation. I
Yeah.
don't know, but it's like, but that is the thing. Like the thing is with these types of horror movies at this particular point in time, you do have that element of sacrifice and heroes and people being brave.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I loved it. I think it's a thumbs up. I love it. I think it's a great film. I enjoy it.
Mhm. You know, it's
Yeah.
interesting when you said earlier is about how the movie I don't want to say bomb, but I guess it didn't do well
It was not critical.
initially.
No, it didn't do well. No, it didn't.
So like it makes me wonder because it's like today's era, like Gen Z loves Star Wars Episode 3, and they say like that's the best one, and it's just like is it just like, are we too harsh back then? Like, and then it's just opinions change? Like, what do you guys
No,
think?
I think you're onto something. I think you're onto something, and I think that happens a lot with horror films in particular because, Steph, am I stepping on you? Yeah.
No, that's exactly where my head was at too. But please continue.
I was going to say, I wonder now with streaming, because you can't pay me. Poor Dominic. I feel horrible for him. You can't. The last movie I saw in the movie theater was Joker with Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, wow.
A great movie.
Yes.
Love that movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the theater. I'm happy to sit in my house and watch things. So I wonder now, how have we changed as a society viewing these films? Are we now willing to give movies more of a chance because we watch them? Or do we watch them, move on, watch them, move on, watch them, move on? Because like I said, if you go back to a film like, I'll go back to my earlier recommendations, A Tale of Two Sisters. If you go back to that, you're now asking an audience to sit there and read subtitles.
Yeah.
And be quiet. It's a quiet movie.
Right.
Yep.
Are we going to do that?
Yeah.
Am I going to go back and watch that one?
No, it's a great point, especially like I'll watch so much content and I don't even remember half the shit I watched in a year.
Right.
It's
Right.
like,
Right.
even like the books you read, like I'll retain it for the 2 months I read it, and then once it's done and I'm on something else, it's like, what happened again in that?
Right.
When HBO first came out, it wasn't HBO Max, it was HBO, and it was a big deal. And they would play the same 7 to 8 movies over and over and over again, and you really got into them and you really explored them. And I feel like it's brilliant that this movie timed it to come in with this particular thing. It was 82. So the movie came out not great for there. And if you read the Wikipedia page, which I'm staring at right now, so credit to them. But if you look at the Wikipedia page, you will see why it was not as successful, right? But now you had it in the homes, and that's when it blew up. And that was the thing. And you'll see that. You'll see that. Well, I mean, stepping outside my horror genre, I think Arrested Development was one of those.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite shows ever.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I love that show too. You wouldn't think it, but I do. And it is one of those things where that show easily could have failed, but for the fans, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Easily could have failed.
Yeah.
Easily could have failed.
And, Judy, I was right there with you with like, horror is real tough sometimes to have a box office hit because it's hard to get butts in chairs depending on what type of horror is it, how are you marketing in it. We're a niche community. We are a proud community. We love each other. We love what we love, but it's niche comparatively. Horror is not something every single person universally will go out and watch. But I think to your points about like rewatching and availability and does it have our full attention and are we really digging in? Like, think about half the content that gets pushed on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook. Nobody is trying to sell you on long form content anymore. Everything is, what can I do in a minute or less, or 30 seconds or less?
Yeah.
Look at the songs. Songs are 2 minutes
Songs are getting shorter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Songs are shorter. Yep, they are. They are.
All right. So overall, thumbs up everybody around for the thing. Definitely check it out.
For those trying to get back into the Popcorn and Possibilities rating system, Brian, do we agree?
Yeah, I agree. Clear
Clear skies, baby.
That's our
Clear
5 out of
skies.
5.
Yeah, that's our highest. That's our highest mark. But yeah, if you haven't seen the thing, I know we spoiled a bunch, but Judy, like you said, it's from the 80s. Like, if you haven't seen it, just go watch it. It's okay that you know a little bit about it. Yeah. But definitely worth the watch. Even if you don't consider yourself a horror fan, because there's a lot going on in this one. It's a thriller.
It's a thriller.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, we thank you guys. It's been fun. But thank you for coming on, and thanks. It's been a lot of fun. So
nice chatting with you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. So we're just gonna stop right here.